Good evening. This is Deep Frame News, bringing you truth, depth, and the stories you won't hear anywhere else. I'm your host, and tonight we're going deep into the political landscape of 2025 under President Donald J. Trump, his administration's sweeping moves on national security, immigration, higher education, and the mounting global challenges facing America today. Segment 1, Political Landscape. President Trump, now sworn into his second term as the 47th President of the United States, is shaping his agenda with bold strokes. The administration is targeting federal bureaucracy with promises of a shake-up, trade and foreign policy realignments, and a federal workforce overhaul. But make no mistake, the road ahead is turbulent. The November 4th, 2025 elections will be a critical test, with gubernatorial races in Virginia and New Jersey, and the all-important mayoral election in New York. These contests are being seen as a referendum on the Trump agenda, setting the tone for the 2026 midterms. Political battles are brewing, and tonight we'll break them down. National security and cyber defense. One of the administration's central priorities is national security, especially in cyberspace. With hostile actors like China, Russia, and Iran ramping up digital warfare, the White House is turning to new strategies. The newly appointed National Cyber Director, Sean Cairncross, is pushing for unprecedented cooperation with the private sector. His message? The US must hit back at foreign adversaries in ways that hurt. This includes controversial discussions around authorizing private sector hacking operations, effectively a new era of digital privateering. Meanwhile, the administration is advancing its AI action plan, investing in AI-specific vulnerability sharing, setting new standards for military data centers, and preparing to defend against state-backed cyber intrusions. This could reshape America's cyber defense posture for decades. Segment 3, Immigration and Ideological Scrutiny. Perhaps the most controversial policies today are coming out of the Trump administration's immigration agenda. The government has launched an unprecedented review of over 55 million immigrants with valid visas, combing records and even social media for anti-American activity. This means that posts, affiliations, or statements online could now determine whether someone keeps their visa or faces deportation. Critics call this vague and dangerous, pointing out that anti-Americanism is not defined in immigration law. But the administration is leaning on Cold War-era frameworks like the 1952 Immigration and Nationality Act and the Communist Control Act of 1954 to justify deportations and citizenship revocations for those linked to communist or totalitarian ideologies. Chinese nationals under scrutiny. Chinese students and researchers have been singled out, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio announcing stricter visa policies. Those connected to the Chinese Communist Party, or even those studying critical fields like tech and AI, face possible visa revocation. Claims from far-right circles that all Chinese students are spies are unsubstantiated, but they highlight the intensity of suspicion shaping US policy. Expanded powers. US Citizenship and Immigration Services is now requiring applicants to list all social media handles from the past 5 years. Officers are instructed to screen for anti-Semitic content, terrorist ties, or evidence of anti-American ideologies. These terms remain undefined, giving wide discretion, and critics say too much power to immigration officers. Segment 4, Targeting Specific Nationalities. The immigration crackdown extends beyond China. Nationals from Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Haiti, many of whom entered under Biden-era parole programs, are losing their legal status. For Cubans, this is a sharp departure from decades of special treatment under US law, when they were fast-tracked as refugees after Castro. Venezuelans, meanwhile, are being deported, some targeted based on tattoos alleged to link them to gangs, even without solid evidence. The administration says it is purging potential infiltrators tied to communist regimes. Critics say it is uprooting families who've lived and worked legally in America for decades. Segment 5. Universities under fire. Another front in this ideological battle is America's universities. The administration argues that higher education has become a breeding ground for leftist indoctrination, pointing to widespread teaching of Marxist theory and the rise of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, programs. With Project 2025 serving as a blueprint, the administration has ramped up federal investigations into elite universities. Harvard, Columbia, and Berkeley are under intense scrutiny for anti-Semitism, pro-Palestinian protests, and ties to progressive organizations. UCLA was even found in violation of civil rights law for failing to protect Jewish and Israeli students. The consequences are massive. Johns Hopkins lost $800 million in funding and laid off 2,000 employees after being targeted by federal probes. Texas universities report widespread faculty contract cuts tied to government restrictions. Research funding freezes have left entire institutions on edge. University leaders warn this is an unprecedented government overreach threatening academic freedom. The administration argues it is rooting out corruption and anti-American bias. 6. Broader challenges. Beyond immigration and education, the nation faces storm clouds. The federal budget deficit is climbing. Trade wars are straining markets with tariffs rattling supply chains. Internationally, China and Russia are pushing to fill power vacuums. Meanwhile, Canada is seeing citizens sell off US properties, citing fears over political instability south of the border. Allies are watching closely, while adversaries test America's resolve. Segment 7. Historical context. To understand today's policies, you have to look back. The Red Scare and McCarthyism of the 1950s established legal frameworks still in use, laws that banned communists from entry, naturalization, and even certain jobs. Courts have ruled both ways on these issues, sometimes upholding deportations, sometimes striking them down as vague guilt by association. Now in 2025, those Cold War precedents are being revived, only with a 21st century twist. Social media vetting, AI-powered background checks, and ideological screening that could reshape America's immigration and education systems. Closing. As we've seen tonight, the Trump administration is advancing bold and controversial initiatives, from national security and cyber warfare to immigration crackdowns to unprecedented scrutiny of America's universities. Supporters say this is about protecting America. Critics say it is government overreach on a scale unseen in modern history. What is clear is that America in 2025 stands at a crossroads, politically divided, globally tested, and navigating the balance between security, liberty, and truth. I'm your host, and this has been Deep Frame News. Stay tuned, stay questioning, and as always, stay awake.